Yo, welcome back. So today is the fourth day of my first job. We're in Queensway in central London, a stone's throw from Hyde Park, but we're actually underground in an underground car park. I'm going to talk about how I got the job, how I priced it, how I designed it, etc. But first, let's run the intro. So firstly, how did I get this job? Well, it's actually through the power of social media. So Ben from B Electrical, White Onyx Automation, put out a story saying, look, I've got some works in a car park. Is anyone interested in quoting for it? And I literally reached out straight away a few weeks ago and said, yes, I'd be well up for that. That sounds right up my street. And then, yeah, a few weeks later, I'm here doing the job. So that is just a testament to the power of social media. It's not even about reach either, because I've been following Ben since 2018 when I had less than 1,000 followers. So it just goes to show that just putting yourself out there online is a really, really powerful tool. Next up is how I designed the job. So basically, when I reached out to Ben, he sent me a series of videos and photos. I didn't actually come here to survey this one, which is very risky. I actually wouldn't recommend doing it. However, I was still in my old job, and for me, I thought it to be pretty straightforward, and I was willing to take a few risks on, not actually coming to site and not surveying it when pricing the job. When it comes to designing it, it was pretty straightforward really. I needed to install 23 sockets, the furthest being around 100 meters away. So I divided it into 6 circuits. One of those circuits serves 3 bays on their own. That made sense to keep that on one circuit, and then I divided up the other 20 bays into 5 circuits. Now it's not an even number. Some of the bays are 5 sockets, some of the bays are 3 sockets, some of the bays are 4 sockets, but I divided it up that way just because it made sense from an installation perspective. And then with that in mind, I could then provide a dedicated circuit design. When it comes to the technical design, the design calculations, it was all done using electrical OM. Now, I actually paid for the cheapest subscription. It's about 400 quid. I'll put a link to electrical OM below. It's not sponsored or anything like that, but it's just a software that I've been familiar with through other companies that I've worked with for the last few years, and it just provides really detailed technical designs, and I actually think it wins you jobs because not a lot of people do this. It holds your hand a lot. You certainly need to know what you're doing when it comes to creating the design, but the software is really, really good. We're not going to dive into the software at all today though. I'm just going to literally show you the report that I made, the circuit design report, and show what I included, what I thought was relevant to this job. So first up, we just got a little cover sheet. This just breaks down the contents of the report. Then we've got a circuit schedule report. So this literally goes through the description of the circuit, the conductor, the protective device, and the load based on the design current. It also has a bit of mains information on there, which Ben actually provided, so I could do a lot of these calculations. But yeah, this is just a brief circuit schedule. You then have the brief calculations. This is going to go through each circuit, and it's going to check current inequalities, braking capacity. It's going to do all the adiabatics, and make sure it's going to trip on time, make sure it's below the maximum permitted ZS. So this is just a brief summary of the calculations. It basically summarizes a lot of the analytical calculations report just for a quick reference. And then we have voltage drop calculations. So this was important to me because some of these circuits were originally going to be over 100 meters. They weren't quite that long in the end. But yeah, this was important, and this is why I needed to get the design current bang on really, because originally I designed these circuits as just like socket circuits with like an 8 amp design current, and then we was going to have to go up to like 6 mil and stuff like that. But where we actually got the spec of the chargers and realised they were like a couple of 100 watts each, 4 of them on each bay, etc. We got like a design current of 4 amps, which allowed us to select the right breaker, etc., and then make sure that we are below the voltage drop of 5%. So yeah, that's really important. That is just a brief summary of what's on here. So we've actually got one of these for each circuit. I'm not going to go through them all, but it literally has circuit description, phase voltage, etc. It goes through the conductor type, installation method, CPC, protective devices, and then it goes through all of the calculations as well, from design current to earth fault calculations, voltage drop, everything. And yeah, this is basically your certificate of like compliance for a solid design. So yeah, there's 6 of them, covers everything, and then it's just briefly summarized here. And then finally we have the circuit schematics. So let's just go through the DB, all of the circuits, etc., and just gives you a visual representation of everything we've designed. Obviously you can make this a lot more involved if you want to, but I just done a basic design because I didn't want to overwhelm the client. But I think it's stuff like this which is going to set you apart from other contractors and hopefully win you the job. As for containment, it made sense to keep it really robust and really durable. Being an underground car park, I wanted to install something that lasts and something that suits the environment. So we opted for a 6-inch primary containment, a tray which leaves the board and runs all the way down to the last bay. And then the secondary containment is 25mm galvanized steel conduit, which drops from an adaptable box next to the tray down to the sockets in the bays. So we're going to come along the tray in SWA cable, gland into the adaptable boxes above each bay, and then we're doing singles down to each socket. So it's a pretty simple design, but it's super durable, it looks pretty clean, and I love metal munching anyway, so it's been a pleasure to install so far. Just to take you through the setup a little bit, we've got all our materials here. We've got these sockets done, so these ones are just clip direct in SWA. Looking nice and sweet. And then we've got these 2 boards here, which is actually up in the air at the minute, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna end up going in them anyway. And then we've got a bit of our tray done. So it comes across here, down there. It's just hung on deep uni, tray joiners, manufactured ends and stuff like that, just to keep installation times quick. And then it joins onto our, tees into our main run over here. Once onto our main run, you can actually see those adaptable boxes I was on about. So they're mounted there, then comes down, and we've got our sockets here. So these are literally just outdoor sockets. The reason why we went for these is that they're lockable. The client specified that they have to be lockable. The only thing I'm not actually happy about is they're plastic, obviously, but obviously you win some, you lose some. That's what they wanted. That fitted the spec, but the rest is in lovely, lovely tube. Our tray then continues all the way along here. We actually had to, you'll see there, they don't actually line up, and that's because of stuff in the way. So this side is literally offset by, I think it was 35mm, 40mm. But yeah, it is what it is. It was annoying, but yeah, you can't change it. It's just like rods in the way and stuff like that. It's hard to show you, but it's pretty busy up there. It continues on all the way down here. Again, we've got drops, looking sweet. We've managed to drill through the columns to pick up the sockets on the other side. So that was a touch really. Initially, we did quote to tube both sides. The hope was to do that, but if we couldn't do that, say if there was a steel in here, then I did quote to like tube round, and that is again just one of the risks you take by not surveying a job. But yeah, it's worked to my favour this time, but it won't always. You can see we've actually pre-wired these as well, so we've got our cables up there ready to go, and then our armoured are just going to come off the tray, swoop in, get grounded into the top of there, and then yeah, we're just spurring off basically. Tray then continues on all the way down here, over a load of pipes, and then this is where Tobes currently is, getting the next bit up, but this bit's been a little bit fun getting it in between there. We're then down to this bay here, which Ryan, actually got Ryan from our Davis today. He's going to be tubing this up, and then we've got to get all the motors moved into the bays we've done, and we can do the last few bays. But yeah, that is where we're at so far. It's about 4 days into the job. I would say we're currently on track, but you can tell me, because I'm now going to take you over to my scope of works where I actually showed how many days I allowed for each bit of the works. Yeah, we'll see how on track I am or if I've messed it up. How do you think it's going, Ryan?
Going well enough that I can stop and have something to eat. Put it that way.
There you go, that's what you want. Right, so this is my scope of work. So this is basically what I use to detail exactly what we're doing to the client, but then I also priced off of this as well. So we've got containment, installation of 120 meters of primary containment comprised of 150mm medium gauge cable tray mounted via deep unistructure concrete slab. Secondly, we have installation of 60 meters of secondary containment comprised of 25mm galvanized steel conduit to each socket location. 120 meters and 60 meters is probably a bit heavy, but I was provided with those figures for like quotation purposes. But yeah, I think now it is probably a little bit less than that in all honesty. But that's like, again, just covering yourself for not looking at the job. And if it was more than that, then yeah, that would have been my risk as well. We then have weatherproofing of containment against corrosion by application of galvanized paint and gaskets where required. So this is just where it's like, where it is an underground car park, it is obviously a bit damp down here, etc. So we just want to do what we can to make sure that the containment system is going to last. The reason why I've put that on the scope of works is because I think it's important to include little things like that, because when I actually come to quote this, I didn't break down my quote for like parts, labour or per point or anything like that. It was just one singular cost, one whole cost. And the reason why I've done that is because I don't like to break things down, because then people think they can pick and choose, oh, I'll just have this bit or I'll just have that bit, not realising you've priced the job based on the whole job, not individual parts. And also people can then get picky about sourcing materials themselves or querying things, and I don't feel like I need to justify what I do. I know what I'm doing, sort of thing. So yeah, by just putting in a one-liner cost, it stops all that. But then on that cost, I do have the scope of works, just as you're seeing it there, and it breaks down every point. So although it's not that relevant to include that, it just shows that you're giving value to the client. You're showing that, look, we're not just going to lash this containment in, we're going to make sure that it lasts. We're not just going to do this, we're going to do, you know, it just shows the detail that you're going to, and I think that's very important. Next up, we have final circuits. So installation of 350 meters of 4mm 3-core SWA to supply 6 20 amp radial circuits, supplying 23 lockable RCD double switch socket outlets. So this has changed a little bit. We're now doing 16 amp circuits because we needed to go on a lower breaker to get, you know, to hit the maximum fault loop impedance. And they're also going to be normal sockets on RCBOs, because where we've drilled through these pillars now to mount the sockets on the other side, you have got a cable in a wall regardless of depth. And it contains metal parts because there's rebar in there, etc. So now we need to put it on an RCBO to protect the cabling as well. We didn't initially need to because it was all SWA on cable tray. We could have just done RCD sockets, but by going through that wall, we now need an RCBO to protect that tiny little bit of cable going between those sockets. Finally, we've got miscellaneous, so testing and certification, labeling of all installed final circuits and associated mains. So this again isn't really relevant, it sort of goes without saying, but it just shows to the client that we are going to test, we are going to certificate and label everything up, and it just provides that breakdown, so that when there is just a fat one-liner on the bottom with no breakdown of the cost, they can see what they're getting, and I think that's very important. Now this was actually left off of the quotation. To be honest, this is just a company document for internal use only, but this bit doesn't make it onto the quotation, but I'm happy to show you guys. This is how I priced the job. So I basically worked out how long it would take me to do each thing. This is for one man or one man day, but yeah, this is how I used to price jobs back in the day. So the installation of the tray I thought would take 5 days. Installation of the 23 conduit drops 6 days. Now that's tight, that's like grafting, I feel like, but that's a reasonable time to install, you know, all that tray and all that tube. And then we have installation of the like wiring the SWAs on the tray, 2 days. That's probably a bit forgiving. I reckon you could smash that out in 1 day if you really wanted to. And also second fix of the 23 sockets, 2 days. I mean, you could easily smash that out in a day. Testing and commissioning, you could easily smash that out in a day. But where I've gone over on the last few bits, I was definitely, I would say, under or bang on the tray and on the conduit, because yeah, that is That is, when you consider 2 guys, that's 2.5 days to get all the tray in for 2 guys. When you consider it's 2 guys, 6 days is actually 3 days for 2 guys to get the 23 conduit drops in. It's 1 day for me and someone else to get all of the radials in. 1 day for me and someone else to second fix it all. So, and half a day for me and someone else to test it all. So, yeah, that's how I priced it. And then I basically allow like an hourly rate, or a day rate, where I can pay someone but the business can also make a profit on that person to cover overheads, etc. So that's how I priced that. It was basically 16 days at X amount, whatever your day rate is, and that day rate allows me to pay like good money for a good Sparky and also then make a bit of profit in the business. And then you have materials. Materials is pretty simple. I do what I've always done. I basically work out everything I need and I write a big old list. So this is multiple pages long, but this is the first page. It's literally like a tick list as well. So we can tick it off on site and we can, check what's been delivered. We haven't done that because we've just been flying about. And also I'm on this job, but if I ever get to a point where I've got other people working for me, then this is like a company document that will be printed out with every job. They can tick off their materials. They can see if there's anything missing or if stuff was ordered correctly or incorrectly, etc. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll send this list to the wholesaler and then they will quote it. They'll provide me a quote for the materials, however much it is. They'll also ring me and say, what about this, what about that? And that gives me a cost initially for the materials. And then from there, I can basically add a percentage on. The reason why I add a percentage on, I think it's really important. Some people don't do it and it blows my mind. The reason why you want to add a percentage on is because ultimately you have to go and get the materials. You have to drive to the wholesalers or organise a delivery, etc. You quote the materials and write the materials in your own time. You don't genuinely get paid for that. You then might miss some things off or not get enough. I was already short on Zebs. I was short on some other things, so I've had to order that. Not included in the cost I initially allowed. And then also you might have issues with materials where you have to come back a year later because you've got a faulty socket or something like that. So by adding on a little percentage, whether it's 20, 25% on your materials, you're just covering those things which aren't normally covered. And then if everything goes swimmingly, you've got a little bit of profit, but nothing goes swimmingly. It hasn't on this job. And where I've covered myself, I'm not in too much trouble on the materials. So yeah, that's why you should always quote everything you need, work out everything you need if you can, and then add a little percentage on top, and then add that to your labour, and then you have a whole cost, a big one-liner. And that is how I price this job. Now for time. So you've seen what I've allowed for it, 16 man days. Sorry, I use that for lack of a better term. But yeah, 16 man days or 8 days for me and Tobes. And we're currently on day 4 for me and Tobes. So we're about halfway through our 8 days that I've allowed. Now tray-wise, we're at bay 15. So I'd say we are like 75% there on the tray. Conduit-wise, we're on bay 15, so we're 75% there, nearly on the conduit. So considering we're halfway through the maximum time I've allowed for the job, being 75% is really, really good. But on the wiring and the second fixing, we've barely even started. We're not there at all. So although we're ahead with the containment, we haven't really started with the other bits. So yeah, I would say we're around halfway through actually, and we're halfway through the job, so it's going well, but it very easily could run away from us, or if we wanted to and we really stick in now, we'll be on time and everything will be going good. So you can see how tight it is time-wise in allowing the right amount of time for the job and obviously guesstimating that. Now obviously in the days I've allowed, I allow enough money to cover someone's day rate and then profit on top of that. I won't go into exact figures because I don't want to share the figures on this job because I haven't got permission to, and I don't want to on my first job. I don't want to put that pressure on myself and on the client. But I allow more than my day rate. What I'm paying me, what I'm paying Tobes, I allow that and then a bit more. Not only so that the company's profitable, and because obviously we charge ourselves out as skilled labour, but also because if this does take a couple of extra days or something like that, then we're covered. We could be a couple of days over on this one and be okay. We won't make as much money, but we're not going to be out of pocket or working for free. So that's important. And that's why, again, you should think about what you want to pay yourself for the day, but you should also think about the profitability of the business. And this is just all experience I've gained from previous companies. This is the first job I've priced for myself, but this isn't the first job I've priced for electrical companies. So luckily I've been able to take that experience in with me into this new thing. And I think I'm on the money here, but you guys let me know. Do you think I've allowed enough time, too much? Do you think I'm bang on? It'd be interesting to see what you guys think, because it's new to me doing it for myself. Obviously all the pressure is on me now. And yeah, it'd just be interesting to see what you guys would allow for it, or even if you don't know the answer to that, if you think I'm doing the right thing or not. I thought I want to share as much project-wise and business-wise as I can. That's why my first video, really, I could be showing you how to do bits and bobs, but I thought, nah, let's run through how I got this job and yeah, how it's going as well. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. Before we wrap this video up, I've got a bit of kit, an insane bit of kit, a Milwaukee Unistrut cutter that has got to go back today. Ryan's taking it back today. So I thought we'll have a little go on it today in this video and show you how sick it is. Right, so this is the Milwaukee M18 strut cutter. This thing is a beast. It cuts through uni, it's hydraulic, it just guillotines through it. It is insane. I've got a little bit of uni here. I'll just go through some facts about it. So it's hydraulic. One blade will give you 8,000 cuts. That's what the guy from Milwaukee said. We've had a 5 amp hour in it and we've done over 60 cuts, and we're still at 5 bars. Like, because it's just hydraulic, it doesn't use a lot of juice. You can get this bench as well, and it sort of chains into the bench, so it's not going anywhere. This is just like a pipe threader's bench essentially, but it's got this bit built into the tool so you can lock it in to this chain mechanism. And we've also got this blade here, which is a dual blade, so it will do shallow and deep uni, which is cool. You haven't got to change the blades or mess around with any of that. It's just ready to go. We've got a lock button here, so we're going to unlock it, and then we've just got this trigger here, so I'll show you. It literally just pushes that blade forward until it slices all the way through, and then it pops. Very similar to like a crimper, any other hydraulic tool. We've also got a manual release here. So say if you get halfway or you get it jammed or something, you can hold this button and it just manually releases the hydraulics, which is pretty cool too. It's also 1 key compatible, so you can connect it to the app, mess around with all that Bluetooth stuff, which is cool. I've got a bit of deep uni here. We're doing 150 cuts. So there is actually a guide here which helps cut the Unistrut, but this is also 100 mil off of the blade. So what we want to do when we're doing our measurements is we want to offset our first mark by 100 mil. So where I want 150 cuts of uni, I'm actually going to do 250, because that's where I want my first cut to be. I'm actually going to spin that and do it this side. So we'll go 250 here, and then I still want 150 cuts, so I'm just going to do 150 after that. So then we're going to do 400, 550, 700, 850, 1,000, 1,015. So we've got several cuts marked there. I can then get my bit of uni. I'm just going to get it in the guard there and then just slide it in. It can be a bit tricky to line it up for the first time, but then we're in. You probably can't see it, but there's that little Sharpie mark there. I'm just going to make sure that is bang on this guide. And then you'll see, I'll pull the trigger. And that is cut. And you can see there, that doesn't, even though that's compressed it there, that doesn't even need filing. That is good to go. Nice clean cut. 150 as well. We can check that measurement. That is 150 mil bang on. And that was done in seconds. Now, obviously, I'm waffling on a bit. But if you see here, we just slide through again. Do another one. Wait for it to pop, give it a second to release, slide through again, do another one. Wait for it to release, and last one, because it will get boring, but we'll slide through again, press the button. And we're through. So that is 4 bits of uni cut that don't need filing, that I haven't had to mark round them, I haven't had to grind, I haven't had to bandsaw, I haven't had to do anything involved. 4 bits of uni cut in, you know, a minute, 2 minutes. Perfect cuts, nice and neat. And we cut through 2 lengths of uni, 40 cuts in 5 minutes. That, as an apprentice, that'd be a morning's work. That'd be a morning's work for me, filing them, messing around with them, stacking them all up, as we done it in 5 minutes, which is insane. But yeah, this has got to go back today. I just wanted to show you guys it. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I just wanted to show you it in this video because Ryan's going to take it away. I don't get to play with it anymore. But yeah, let me know what you think anyway. Right, so I'm just gonna go get a coffee, but that is it for today's video. Hopefully you found it interesting, informative maybe. I did say I was gonna try and show more of the business side of things. So hopefully, yeah, you guys enjoyed that. I've got lots of content coming up. So I'm gonna try do more like project/business update videos like this one. I'm also gonna do short and sweet like on-site tutorials, like, I don't know, how to do a bubble set, stuff like that. And then I'm still gonna do like the bigger project videos that I used to do, like the cable spike, stuff like that, where we can make a big like feature video of it. But yeah, I just want to try and diversify the content that I'm doing, and yeah, mix it up a little bit too, because sometimes I put too much pressure on myself to have like a big production when really you guys just want to see the nitty-gritty. But thanks for watching as always. I'll catch you guys on the next one.